Hi everyone, it's Milfia, and today we have a video full of theories about the most mysterious elements of Hytale, the planets. We have zero information about these Alterverses, and yet there is so much to tell. Feel free to tell us your own theories in the comments, but in the meantime, let's begin the video! Hytale's universe is filled with a multitude of things. And when I say universe, I mean the adventure mode of the game, the one we're going to venture into and probably get lost in over and over again. This universe is built around the story with Varin and Gaia, elements like earth or fire, monsters like trolls or ghouls, NPCs like quebecs, and many other things like countless flowers, materials, fish and other items. To date, we have a lot of information about the world of Orbis. It is presented to us as our starting world, the one where we will begin the adventure. This world is composed of 6 distinct zones, each corresponding to an element. Zone 1 for earth, Zone 2 for wind, Zone 3 for water, Zone 4 for fire, Zone 5 for lightning, and Zone 6 for the void. If we know Orbis and its fauna and flora as well as we do, there is one thing we know very little about: the planets that are surrounding this world. In fact, were you aware that there are other planets besides Orbis? If you've been following our videos and keeping up to date with the blog post, you probably knew that. But what I mean is, except for this picture, there's no mention of other planets in adventure mode. Do they matter after all? What are they? Hypixel Studios is still quite mysterious about that, and that's what makes us, at Hytale UP, want to dig a little bit further. On the concept art, these planets are in fact called Alterverses. We could also call them parallel worlds. I'm sure this term means something to you if you've ever read some comics or watched superhero movies. Basically, Alterverses are worlds similar to the world we know, but with a different reality. And just by considering this definition, we can put forward a first theory. The 4 worlds orbiting Orbis are in fact alternative versions of the planet, and more particularly of its zones. I'll explain, but first of all, let me introduce you these planets. We have Numdrassil, the beautiful and windy planet; Torbailin, the cracked planet; Karpak, the swampy and deserted world; Nexus, the world of the void; and finally Orbis, the planet we all know. In fact, the simple observation of this image leads us to the conclusion that they are parallel universes and not really planets. Here, we are not even talking about a solar system, since each world has its own sun or suns. In fact, Nexus or Torbailin are 2 worlds in complete darkness. So, that would mean that these parallel universes all originate from Orbis? Even though the filaments between each world seem to connect them, it seems that the start of everything is indeed Orbis. Each of the other planets would then be an alternative version of Orbis, and even better, a more advanced version of a particular area on Orbis. Do you like to fight against Zone 2 Scaraks on Orbis? Well, don't worry, you've arrived on Karpak, a planet reminiscent of Zone 2 with its swamps and deserts. Here, you'll be able to fight even bigger and more powerful Scaraks for much better loot. Do you understand what I'm getting at? Once our main quests are completed on Orbis, we may unlock access to these parallel universes. Access to stronger bosses and greater rewards. A kind of post-game where the freedom of action would be even greater. Karpak would be the parallel universe of Zone 2, Torbailin would be the parallel universe of Zone 4, and Nexus would be the parallel universe of Zone 5 and 6. But what about Numdrassil? This word seems to represent the wind and therefore the symbol of freedom. But we know that Zone 2 of Orbis also represents this element. In short, everything is a little vague, but I remain convinced that this parallel universe will be accesses towards stronger monsters and overpowerful bosses. We'll be able to access them either at the end of adventure mode, after we free Gaia and Orbis from corruption, or during our adventure. Indeed, as we progress through Orbis, we may find portals like the ones in this image. This portal is undoubtedly a passage to the Temple of Gaia. But the others? In another video, they were supposed to be portals leading to the dungeons. But maybe those dungeons are located on other planets. For example, if we go through this portal, we'll go directly to the world of Torbailin, and we'll have to face a terrible boss in order to return to Orbis. This portal would be more like a direct access to Nexus and probably Varin's lair. But let's go back to those filaments between worlds. This is a concept art that has been on the official website for over a year. And recently, the development team admitted that the game was basically designed to be linear. Was there a clear path? It doesn't matter in the end, but it would fit with the theory of crystals. Remember, what if our main goal in adventure mode was to collect crystals to free Gaia from her sleep? Since crystals can be harvested by killing bosses, will we have to go to each planet to harvest each crystal? Maybe the developers had originally planned to take us out of Orbis and then go to Numdrassil and kill the wind boss, for example. Then we would have had to go directly to Torbailin to harvest the second crystal. If we followed the line, we would then land on Karpak to bring back another crystal. And finally, we're on Nexus, the final battle where we must defeat Varin and retrieve the last crystal. Continuing along this path laid out in this concept art, we then return to Orbis and we can finally free Gaia. What do you think of this theory? I don't get it. Can you start from the beginning? To sum up, we have parallel worlds in Hytale's adventure mode. 3 theories about these planets that seem to be interconnected. The first one, we start our adventure on Orbis and we have to use portals from time to time to go to other planets, progress in our quests, and then return to Orbis to continue the story. In short, the planets are then mandatory passages. Second theory, the other planets are a kind of free DLC of the adventure mode. We finish our story on Orbis, complete our quests, free Gaia, and boom! We unlock portals that can take us to parallel universes. The monsters we knew on Orbis are then 4 times stronger, and the loots 10 times more interesting. Third and final theory, the adventure mode was intended to be linear at the base. Even though the developers have changed a lot of things in Orbis to make it less directive, they may have kept the original path. We start in Orbis and we have to go from planet to collect crystals or whatever, beat the bosses and finally come back to Orbis. That's it! I hope you enjoyed this video! And now it's time for your theories! What do these planets correspond to? How do we access them? Feel free to tell us in the comments and join us on our Discord to discuss it. On that note, it was Milfia and I'll see you next time on Hytale UP.